Hi, my name's Elliot J. And what we're here to do today is I'm going to read you the first part of the book I am writing. It's called Never Go Gently. It's meant to be, I wouldn't say a modern take, but I'm trying to make it a timeless tragedy. The book consists of 6 books, actually, which are smaller stories in an anthology. And today we're going to read book 1, The Father and the Mother, which is a journey of despair and sacrifice, a father and mother's struggle to craft a world for their children. Book 1, Never Go Gently, The Father and the Mother. Prelude. As the sun climbed over the horizon, Father stretched out his arms and rose from his slumber, turning towards Mother, who it seemed had already awoken at an earlier moment, patiently awaiting her lover to wake, staring at Father as he slumbered peacefully. "This is it, the last day together," remarked Father to Mother. "What shall we do now?" he continued. "I don't know. I guess we should figure out what we should eat for dinner tonight. After all, it most likely is." Mother regarded Father with tears in her eyes, trailing off as she scanned the room for her gaze yet again to fall upon the little treasures they made together. "It's going to be the last family meal we ever have." Father slowly approached his mother to embrace her. "Now stop speaking like that. I know this is hard, but we have to stay strong for them, even if it's for just one more day." Her reply is simple. "I know. I'm sorry." Father then comforts her, stroking the back of her head. "You have nothing to be sorry for. You gave me all the treasure in the world. Hey, it's not like anyone else has lived through the end of the world. This is new. Don't be sorry. Please don't be sorry. For the plan we have executed has given us all the chance to experience joy for a little while longer. Let's just enjoy the family we made together and the life we have." Now even Father starts to tear up a little bit and holds Mother even tighter. Well, at least the life we have left to live. Perhaps it is strange that within this home they had walled themselves in, a stalwart attempt to avoid perversion of the peace they strive so hard to impart upon their children in these last days. 6 months prior, our doom was spotted in the heavens, heading directly towards our extinction. Honestly, Father wondered many times if the governments knew about this sooner and just decided not to tell us about it. In that event, who am I to judge such an action, as my response to protect the children was not dissimilar, bemused Father frequently to himself. 6 months ago, everyone had their sanity struck by the inevitableness of endings, and we knew we were on our last chapter. It was utter insanity, the number of unfulfilled desires being rushed. Travel to unmanned destinations became the new normal. Parents flocked with their children to give them one last chance to visit the most magical place on earth. Lovers converged on every destination possible in which one would imagine is the perfect place to make love and embrace one's lover. However, with the prior news in effect, there was no person or personage in attendance to serve said tourists anywhere. Everything became ghost towns of a civilization at the peak of its demise. Remnants of the previous affluence and opulence once enjoyed, now being reclaimed by the very nature that it was molded from. Nature in its inevitability, and in spite of current futility, had already begun the battle to reclaim our cities, almost as if in preparation for the next chapter, not knowing they would have to wait for the next book to be authored for such a chapter to exist. In the light of the coming demise, upon the very night said demise's existence was imparted upon us all, Mother and Father came up with the plan, the glorious plan they watched unfold perfectly. Part 1. 6 months prior to the end. The plan. Mother walked into the bedroom that held so many fond memories of her and her lover in embrace. "Do you think it's real?" Father gave no response. "Honey, did you hear me? Do you think this is real? What they just said on the news?" Father sat solemnly, with an expression on his face Mother could only assume is what people called the 1,000-yard stare. It looked as if he was looking past the present into the very future they were trying to divine. Now, without malice, Mother sharpened her tongue to break Father's gaze into this inescapable void he currently presided. "Did you hear me? Snap out of it. I need you right now. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to think. I need you, please. I need you." Father turned his head slightly, looking Mother in her beautiful amber eyes. Father opened his mouth to speak, but instead of the comfort Mother was seeking, Father was only able to make a guttural sound as if he was trying to speak whilst his throat was being strangled by an invisible foe, unable to take form anything that could be considered a word in his or any known language. It went on like this for hours, Father trying to speak, Mother crying and asking him to comfort her. This cycle continued until both parties were completely exhausted and fell into a deep slumber. This respite, however, only lasted a few hours as nightmares filled both of their heads, as if there were succubi and incubi whispering into their ears as they slept to impart said nightmares. Father was first to wake, covered in a cold sweat, feeling baptized by the very fear he sought to escape with his dreams. Father looked upon Mother as she slept. It, however, was apparent said rest was not restful. Mother seemed as if in the thralls of supernatural possession. Her movements were violent, her visage grimaced in fear and pain. Rest most assuredly must have eluded her as well. Father was wondering whether he should wake her when suddenly she awoke as if struck by lightning. They both looked at one another and in unison, almost as if one mind, they both said, "Is this real?" Father, realizing it was more than just a nightmare now, sought desperately to add any amount of levity he could to diffuse the horror that now consumed them both. Father remembered a funny game as a kid he used to play. If someone said the same thing at the same time, the person who said jinx, personal jinx first, hexes the other person and they're unable to speak until their name is called thrisely. Remembering this, Father says, "Jinx, personal jinx," to Mother. She looked at first confused, then stunned, taken out of the moment they were in. Then Mother smiled. It was a small, sheepish smile. It was as if her smile was trying to peek through the fear now tattooed permanently onto her face, swimming to the surface of her lake of tears, pulling back the curtain of her pain just a little. "Thank you," Mother said. "I really needed that." "Now I think we need to figure out what we need to do," Father pronounced. "I think we need to be realistic. If what they said is true, this thing is 10 times bigger than the one that killed the dinosaurs. There isn't going to be any surviving this." "But that doesn't mean we give up," Mother then responded. "But the children, what of them? How do we—" Father interrupts her. "We don't. We can't. They simply won't understand. And if they did, they would be terrified. This will be the hardest 6 months of our life, but we need to make it the best 6 months of theirs. For Christ's sake, our girl is barely old enough to write her own name. She doesn't even do that well yet. The boy finally started talking and just stopped shitting his pants. And then there's the baby. How do you do that? How do you prepare a baby to die?" Father took a moment to pause. "Just give me a minute. I'm sorry, this is too much, almost even for me." Mother moved in closer, placed her arms around her lover. "It's okay, baby." She spoke with tears in her eyes. "Remember our vows. I'll be strong when you are weak, and we promise to support one another to the very end. I know it feels like it's over, but it isn't. We still have time. You are right, though. We have to figure out a way to keep this from the children." A few more awkward moments would pass betwixt them. There were many moments like this. Many moments indeed since the news of their impending extinction. But in spite of these moments, they trudged through the conversation that was necessary for the plan to become a possibility. Father took out a piece of paper and his favorite pen. Looking down at the writing instrument, he chuckled a moment, looked at Mother and said, "You know, I used to use this to write stories of space." Mother responds, "Irony. So much irony these days. Like, it's ironic that losing our store right before this happened seemed like the end of the world. But in actuality, it was the catalyst that pushed us to be here where we're much safer to wait out the actual end to come." "So what did we decide was first on the list?" Father starts to write and narrate out loud as he does. "First, no one from the family is to leave the property. Second, food and water is to be rationed to last 6 months. No more, no less. Third, the children don't get to know what is going on. We'll tell the little ones that can understand that in 6 months a really cool thing is going to happen. The scientists figured out how to lasso asteroids, and they're bringing one here. An asteroid made of gold that will make us all rich. Fourth, under no circumstances do we allow anyone else into the home. We can't save anyone anyways. We have to protect the children while we can. Fifth, a daily routine and weekly routine will be implemented with the children to help sell the illusion. Sixth, from here forward we will, when speaking about the asteroid, pretend it is a good thing, something we want to happen. Seventh, and most importantly, now that we know what is happening, we no longer have a need for outside communication. We'll receive no messenger or message from the outside world, and we must lose all tools which provide a means for the outside to penetrate our sanctuary. Father laid his pen down and looked towards Mother. Anything else? Just one more thing, she replied, grabbing his writing instrument. Eighth, remember to love each other every day. Remember to shower each and every person within this home with love. Remember never to raise your voice in anger. Those in this house and the very home itself in which we reside is our salvation. Father kissed her softly and whispered to her, Well put, darling. Very well put. I think that one is the most important part of the plan. And now our family's declaration is complete. Taking the instrument from her hand, Father led Mother to the bedchambers. The two sat together, holding one another, staring into the horizon, making out in the distance a small bright white moon, now visible in the sky, a shooting star that would fulfill no wish, a heavenly marker that would not lead to a Messiah. They held one another closely and began to talk about the wonderful life they've had before drifting off into slumber. The plan now complete, they're able to rest a little more easily. Part 2. 2 weeks prior to the end. Fortitude and resilience. Everything up until this point had gone smoothly. Every instance of the plan went smoothly, as if every piece were a well-laid domino falling one after the other. Smoothly, yes, so smoothly, up until this point. Mother was lingering in the pantry this morning. There was a rushed, tense feeling in the air despite her lingering. The boy came up to Mother and asked, Is everything all right? Mother's trance was broken when the boy's words pierced the silence. Yes, everything is fine. I could have sworn your father asked me to make something special, and when I got in here, I forgot what he wanted me to make. I was just trying to remember. Do you want me to go ask him what it was? Asked the boy. No, don't bother your father. I'll ask him. You tend to your sister and the baby while I figure out breakfast. Mother headed into the bedroom chambers to talk to Father about why she was struck dumb in the pantry. Honey, we have to talk. I went to make breakfast for the children this morning and I noticed we're running very low on supplies. I know we said no more, no less, but I fear we will starve before the end comes. Mother then began to list the food that they had left so Father could understand what was going on without alerting the children to the problem with an unnecessary investigation. Father thinks for a moment, then replies, We will be fine. Look, the children eat less than us. If I go to eat just once a week and you eat one meal a day, we should be able to stretch the food to where the children don't notice. Besides, people can go up to 2 weeks without food. Just save me a plate for the last meal is all I ask. I'd like to share the last meal together as a family. Mother looks at her lover and pauses a moment. My love, you can't. You need food too. Maybe we can just go look for some more Father then interrupted Mother. You forget the first rule. No one leaves. This home is our sanctuary. Mother weakly replies with tears caught in her throat. You can't. Stalwart in his decision, Father sternly replies, It is what is required, so I will. I must. For them. We can do this. Our purgatory is almost at an end. Now I believe the children are waiting for breakfast. I believe the children will find it very queer if you're not there to cook for them. Mother exited the bedchambers and returned to the kitchen pantry to prepare breakfast for the children. While searching the pantry for this day's morsel, Mother thought out loud to herself, "Did he know already? Was this always the plan? For him to sacrifice himself at the end for our sake of our own comfort? He accepted the situation without question. He must have known." She continued gathering supplies, then headed towards the kitchen. "I don't know what I did in this life to deserve such a strong man. Today we make breakfast bars from scratch, children. Do you want blueberries and oats or strawberries and oats today?" "Strawberry, strawberry, strawberry," replied the two children who could talk in unison. "Okay, strawberries it is." Mother then proceeded to mix together the ingredients to make said breakfast bars. "Son, can you put a couple logs in the oven for me?" asked Mother. He simply nodded and then proceeded to the task at hand. As the oven roared to life, crackling and sputtering, spewing out the heat from a form over a century old, Mother got out a set of playing cards, a set of dice, and a set of stones to play Go. She then proceeded to offer the children a choice. "Cards, dice, or Go today?" The girl looked at Mother and asked, "If we play Go, can we wait for Daddy? I want us to all play together." "Not a problem. I'll go get him." Then Mother was off to fetch Father. After Mother returned with Father, he picked up the baby and held him in his lap, whilst the rest of the family set up the floor to play a match of Go together. They always played in teams, the boys versus the girls, mother and daughter and father and son. All sat across from one another, playing a game of Go, breakfast bars baking and filling the morning air, while off in the horizon you would see what looked like a larger second moon hanging in the sky, growing steadily larger every day, never waxing, never waning, always growing. Part 3. The morning of the end. One last encounter. Things had been very strange the last few days. Very strange indeed. Laws breaking daily, universal laws, strange events that baffled the mind. The closer the asteroid got, the weirder things got. Gravity seemed less a constant now, as small things started to pull harder and harder toward the sky. The Earth slowly lost its grip on her possessions as the asteroid began to enter the atmosphere. The sky now was always golden in hue, yet set ablaze with a spark of orange fire. Beautiful, strange, terrifying, exciting, new. So many words, yet none could fully describe witnessing such an event. The terrible price of admission to the theater, your life. The oldest child came in to wake the parents. "Father, Mother, something isn't right." Mother replied, What's wrong?" I don't know where my brothers are. They're just gone. I don't understand it. All the windows are closed. All the doors are shut. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they could have gone." As Father and Mother were getting prepared to search for the missing children, there came a knock from the door. Then a loud voice shouted, "If you want to see your children again, go into the backyard. All of you into the backyard now." Entering the backyard, Father saw a stranger in the backyard, brandishing a crude weapon resting along his shoulders. The children on their knees with their hands tied behind their back. Father shouted at the stranger, "Who the fuck are you? Why are you doing this? Don't you see everything going on around you?" Father stretched his arms out to demonstrate the immensity of the situation he is describing. The stranger simply replied, "Your dream was to spare your children the harsh reality of truth. My dream was to take your lives. It's all I've ever wanted. To feel your life leave your bodies as I stand over you. It's what I was made for, yet too timid to do in a society that frowns upon such actions. A society that no longer exists. Today, I fulfill my desire. I've given you the whole of these last 6 months to enjoy your ignorance. But now the day of reckoning has come. It has come for us all. But I will give you one last chance. I don't want easy prey. I'll trade you your children for you to fight me to the death. If you win, you can enjoy the last few hours with your family. If you lose, I kill everyone." Father turned to Mother. "It's a deal. Take the children and go. I'll find you when this is done." Waving his weapon as if it were an extension of his arm, the stranger motioned for the boys to head towards their mother. Father approached the stranger slowly, rocks and dirt lifting towards the sky as he passed. The backyard transformed into an ethereal battleground. The stranger, lifting his crude, homemade weapon skyward, ran towards Father, wildly swinging towards him, right at Father's head. Father tried to block, but misjudged the force that was coming towards him. The weapon struck Father on the arm and immediately crumpled him to the floor. The stranger, standing above Father, with the very earth swirling around him, raised his weapon towards the heavens to levy the killing stroke. When the oddest thing happened. A hole opened silently in the stranger's forehead, and then he slumped down to the ground, falling over Father's prone body. Mother still untying the boys when this all occurred. Once she had finished with the knots, they all headed back towards Father to see what had happened. Mother got to the two bodies in the yard first and rolled the stranger off of Father. "Thanks. It was getting hard to breathe. I think the son of a bitch broke my arm," said Father, pointing at his arm. "What the hell happened?" asked Mother. Father looked toward her and the children and said, "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe God didn't like what he was doing. Maybe the asteroid pulled something off the ground hard enough to hurt him. Maybe it was a guardian angel. I really just don't know. But we don't have long. Can we just go inside and make that meal we talked about last night? I really don't want to think about death right now. Plus, I'm so hungry. It feels like I haven't eaten in 2 weeks." Mother looked at him. "Yes, of course, dear. I guess we don't really have to worry about cleaning up this mess." Mother then helped Father up, and they went back into the home to make one more meal as a family. Sitting at the table, they were just finishing their meals, discussing whether to play dice, cards, or go when they were done eating. Then there came the oddest sound. It was immense. It shook everything. Following the sound, there was a large flash. Father simply put his broken arm around Mother, and then the healthy arm around the children and pulled everyone close. "Let's play go." But no one moved to get the board ready. They just sat there and held each other, clutching each other more tightly by the second. Not a single word spoken by anyone. This final moment stretches to eternity, yet passes in an instant. The blackness of the void slowly enveloped each of them, one by one, breaking the loving embrace.